Oh shoot! Special guest in the house.
Oh.
Oh,
Dog?
a special guest in the house. Hold up. Hold up.
Oh shit.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on?
Ellie. All right. Sorry, hold
All
on.
right, guys, we got Brian Crane, Zach Yasko, and the King Alan Garrett in the house. We're going to do a real basic startup or how to get your thing started up on Holley EfI today. And it looks like Zach's going to do this since he's getting ready to rock and roll in his car.
Yeah, I mean, do we want to say we're going to build one? Because this is the base file I've already built. Do we want to kind of start from scratch? Or?
We want to start from scratch, man. These people need to know what's going on.
All right. Well, I guess right now we're in V6, which basically if you have an HP or Dominator, it's kind of what you want to be in. If you got a Terminator X, it's going to be a different software. It's the same, but different. They put stuff in different places. But see, I've already built my base file, but we'll go back from the beginning here. Hopefully it won't kick us out, but.
Going on, Boosted?
Yeah.
You've been helping me,
Hold
though.
on, let me start over.
Don't mind me. I think we need to give a formal introduction. No, it's fine. You sure? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
Just track. I'm track manager.
So
Track manager.
obviously,
We got the Brians over there together.
are we back up?
For those that don't know, this is Brian Reed. He's been my right-hand man here for this racing season. Has been huge help to me. Getting this
in the
thing.
groove, or what? Is that what he does?
I make Brian make good decisions.
He makes me make good decisions and not think irrationally. So
Does he put you in the groove, or is that what he does? Or
That's all I do.
yeah.
Oh,
something
shit.
like
I'm a certified groove man.
Yeah, Tim, we're going to get you straightened out tonight, buddy. Hopefully, Zach and these guys can get you help.
that. Oh man. What we got here?
Sorry, Zach. You can continue now.
Oh, it's okay.
All right, Zach, take it away, bud.
All right. So I guess if you're starting from scratch, it's the HP or Dominator unit. You're going to, after you go to Holley's website, download there all the newest files, et cetera, you'll go basically open it up and you'll see this and you open a global file. So we'll start off something simple because they're not going to have they have base cows, but not like something specific to your application. So you can kind of get close in the ballpark, your car running. So basically I like to start with a base cow. We want to be in VE based, modular, because most of us are working with modulars. And these are a bunch of other ones in here, but the one that comes in here is usually this 4.6 cool-on plug with a 470. It don't matter if it has a automatic or manual, we'll get rid of that later. We'll open that. So basically, what I like to do, obviously, you start off with your system ICF. We want ECU configuration, so this is where you can swap if it's HP or Dominator. Pretty simple. And you go your parameters, kind of the really important first thing to get done because you can damage the O2 sensor if you don't do this and flash it before you put power to the system and select if you're running NTK or Bosch. So we'll do that. Say we're running NTK. We want to do VE. Now, a lot of people get confused with this gasoline and E85 dealio, but basically all that is how it's scaled. So we all know that E85 is 981 for stoic. So basically that makes it read E85 stoic. It doesn't change anything in the tune. It just basically how it reads out. So we say gasoline because everybody's familiar with 14.7. So, 14.7, or if you want to command 11.2 for your wide open, it's all the same because it reads in Lambda, but it translates it in the background into AFR.
Now, it won't read out Lambda to you, will it?
No, unfortunately, no. I wish it would because it'd be a lot simpler, but it does it in the background. It doesn't matter if you're on ethanol, methanol, whatever. If you have this on gasoline, it's going to read the stoic of that fuel as 14.7 and so on and so forth. Obviously, odd motor stuff or 8 cylinders, you can anywhere, between 281 302. That's not a huge deal. The most important thing really is to come down and do your injectors. They have a lot of data on here, which is real helpful, but obviously there's some that there's not on here. Good thing is injector dynamics, which what I recommend running if you can. on their website, they have Holley specific data that you can go in here and enter in, because you'll go to custom, basically come down here and enter all the data that here, and here that the Holley provide, or whatever injector company you use provides for the Holley. Also, too, you need to specify in here your pressure, because that helps calculate total fuel flow. That's 3 bar. A lot of injectors are rated at 3 bar. Some people run 4 bar or more to get more out of the fuel system or injector if they got enough pump behind it. After you get that set up, obviously the next thing to do is ignition. And this is here where we'll get into, I guess, what we've come to figure out, which was supposedly common knowledge, but I didn't know until basically we had a bunch of cars that wasn't going as fast as they're supposed to go. But a lot of people have problems with the car starting, because how our cams sync, the cam sync comes 25 degrees after top dead center, so it kind of screwy. So if you got like a lot of slack or slop in your change, sometimes the car won't catch sync and won't start. So there's on the Holley forums, there's a special case scenario where you'll come in here and you'll do a custom setup, and you'll juggle basically the firing order. I don't have it written down exactly what it is, but I can find
I got
it
it here. Hold on. Let's see.
Yeah, so y'all are actually changing the fire order around, right? Moving it around.
Yes, it puts 6 as number 1, because that makes it where the cam sync lines up with crank sync.
It's 654-813-72. That's the custom.
Yeah, it basically juggles everything. And so what we didn't know about this after we did this, we thought, it's kind of just like can, you set it and forget it. Well, obviously you got to come in here. All modulars are 36-in-1 unless you have an external wheel. And on their website, it says, start off with everything at 0, and we want to be for magnetic, because they were DR sensors. And I think the minimum voltage isn't like 0.14 or something like that for this, Alan. And it's like
Let me go
13
in
on the
here.
filter, or 16.
I got my minimums at 0.25 volt. Then the filtering's at 4.
4, right. So basically, like I said, you set all this up. We're single pulse cam, still magnetic. So basically have 2-wire magnetic sensors. We're going to do pull on plug. We don't want to enable the dwell table unless you want to get kind of technical with it, because you can for that. But on the stock cools, really don't want to try to get anything above 1.9, because it can burn them up real fast. They don't like that. But what we found is this here inductive delay. So more or less, we didn't make more power in the tune. We found a lacking issue that was kind of being masked. That what this does is this keeps timing stable. So our magnetic pulse sensors are pretty, they're pulsing, they're unstable, they generate their own frequency. So what was happening as RPM would rise, since there's no delay here, it would cause the timing to get real erratic and retard as much as 4 to 5 degrees. And it would show decent on the plugs, because it really wouldn't do it after peak torque. So it kind of would roll the car back a lot after peak torque. And, you like look at plugs and it looked good, but obviously we found there's more on the table. So this is a thing that I don't recommend, set it and guess. You need to really, check it, because every car is different. But it seems like the cars with the VR sensors like between 50 and 100 before they're real stable. If anybody wants a video on how to actually set the timing, Andrew Lavender, he's got a pretty fast 2-valve. He has a good video on how to do this. But
I got that link here. If I don't know if you can post that up in a link. Can you post stuff here, Daniel, in a link or anything?
I can post on the side here if you want to send it to me.
He knows what he's doing. So
sure. But that's what we found. That's on this lock. And like I said, this is not like a different timing table advanced or anything. All this does is it's like a filter, so the timing stays stable with engine RPM, so you know that you're getting exactly what you're getting. So on the other independent things is too, this is the offset. But also, we have found that at idle, you can basically, there's when you hook up to the car, you can go in here and check your static timing. And we're finding that due to slack in the chains and different gear types and et cetera, that there is offset at idle. So you would lock it out at 10 degrees, get the car full temp, turn off all the modifiers, lock it at 10 degrees, put a light on it, and it's reading, we'll say 8 degrees. So they're saying we're statically already 2 degrees retarded. So in the file, if you're asking for, say, 17 degrees of timing, you're thinking, oh, I'm getting 17, but no, really not. You get 15. So obviously you're losing some there as well. So it's more or less not a issue with use it to make more power. Is it so you're getting exactly what you're asking for out of the car? I think Brian's was actually advanced, so that's where you can get trouble too. If it's advanced, you can actually be asking for so much and get more. It hurt. That's why this is pretty important, really. If you're going to use a custom ignition parameter setup on these mod motors, which I would recommend because they seem to just run better with it, like starting lights and everything, is to go in, put a timing light on it, set your timing offset first, and then with the timing statically locked, rev it up 5,000-6,000 RPM and check for stay stable and not be bouncing around or retarding is what you're looking for on your balancer.
Yeah, with mine, I think at idle we were advanced about 2.5 degrees, and then when you rev it up to check for stability, it would retard back anywhere between 5 and 6 degrees in the upper RPM range from that 2.5 degree advance. So we put the offset in to correct, get it back to 0, and then we stabilized the the timing with the inductive delay, and got that all set. And in my car in particular, we picked up 5 to 6 mile an hour in the quarter mile just by making this change. I know Alan picked up something similar. And then Dan Watts also recently we did it on his car, and he went from like a 154 to almost a 160 mile an hour pass just by making this change too. So this is a huge deal when it comes to setting up your Holley. So before, definitely highly recommend looking into this before you even get after it on the dyno or the track, just to make sure everything's in line.
Yeah, and this stuff too, like if you've got a motor apart and you got an Innovators West balancer or any type of balancer, when you got a degree wheel on, mark that thing for true top dead center. There's some ways to do this. Yeah,
I bought a few sets of these for customers' cars. I do. They seem to be pretty good, pretty accurate.
Oh, sweet.
That's what I've been putting on the cars now when we actually set true top dead center.
Just verify it with a degree wheel. There's some ways to do it outside the car, obviously with a dial indicator. It's probably pretty close, but doing it with a degree wheel when you're degreeing the cams and everything is going to be the best way to actually verify top dead center. Also, you can do it with a piston stop and all that good stuff. But if you got an Innovators West balancer 0304 Cobra, they do not have a mark on them. So if you're doing this post Holley install like I had to do, you're going to have to find a way to verify top dead center.
Yep. Gotcha. So you're actually lining that up with the TDC mark on the actual front cover, right?
Yeah.
When you're using a timing light. Gotcha.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where your static point is as long as it aligns with actual top dead center. It's just a static reference.
Right.
So when you're using a timing light, so like you have the tape, obviously you can see 20 degrees or whatever like that. But if you're just at top dead center, do you need to use a timing light that's able to actually do advanced? So that way, say you set it at 20 and you set that light at 20, so that way it has top dead center. Yeah,
you want to use a adjustable one. So basically, you lock your timing at 20 to when you're doing your check. You put your offset of your light at 20, so it'll read 0. So you would want to look for 0, 0, or basically your mark. Gotcha. You said you don't do anything with your minimum signal voltage over here. Leave it at 0? I haven't. I don't know. Remember exactly. I think it's 0.25, and like the filtering is pretty low on the crank, and then on the cam, it's
0.05.
Yeah, it's real low, and the filtering is like it's max on the. That's what Holley does. Or that's what in their little special cases thing has said to do, and I kind of leave that alone. I've really not messed with that. because I haven't had any problems, I guess, like signal strength, because I always try to use Ford OEM good sensors. And that's never been a problem. I guess if you were having poor signal strength, you could drop that to try to get more out of the sensor.
All right. So after you get done setting up all this stuff, do you go over to your injector data next? Is that
Well,
what you
that's
go
what-
over?
That was back here.
Okay, you already did that. Gotcha.
That was here. Yeah, that's your injector. Like I said, you can, if you do a custom, obviously you have to come down here and your high impedance, low impedance, what they rate the flow, what's your base pressure at, and then obviously your voltage scaling, which, like I said, a lot of companies have it for Holley specific. Injector Dynamics does for sure. They have some of the best data. Like I said, it just depends on what company you're using.
What about your end angle and all that stuff? Leave it alone.
That I've never used that. I mean, some
So
people
you don't
say,
even worry about the table at
no,
all?
I wouldn't even worry about any of that. I've seen some people say that with cars with cams, it makes them, not as stinky at idle and stuff like that. But that's nothing I've never really been worried about. So I never. There's a lot of rabbit hole you can like get into this, like when you this whole table. So it's
Yep.
really, it doesn't do too much, and it's a lot more problems it can cause. Worth.
So no power to be gained there at all.
No,
Not really.
not
at
the
all.
doctor.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't
So-
even have that DI target fuel pressure injector phasing even as an option on V6. I think it's something enabled in the configuration though. I've never seen that table.
So what are some basic IOs you might want to add to the car? Can you go through that?
Depends on if you're running everything through the Holley or not. But obviously, let's get rid of this transmission because we're going to say most of them we're not running either. We're not running a electronic shift transmission. We're either running a standard shift or a manual valve body. And we've got our basic IOs. So our fans and fuel pump. So obviously you're just gonna eat up two outputs, which on dominant or HP or Terminator X, you've only got 5 inputs, 5 outputs. So right here you already eat up 2, but like I said, that's gonna be your fan. On these cars, I like to use the CCRM, the wire them in because it's already there, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel for wiring, fuses, relays, everything like that. You're just basically using triggers, grounds, and power triggers. And in the factory Holley harness that you can buy, the pre-made one, it has the fuel pump signal out, which you would run to your FC3 controller or whatever. So that's really not like a programmable option. It is already built in. But if you wanted to have like a second or third pump come on, obviously you can use one of your inputs or outputs to use that as well. Then if you have AC, you're gonna eat up another one because you're gonna have to have AC kick a signal into the Holley. So obviously it knows to open up the IAC more so it doesn't stall every time you turn the AC on. That's another pretty important thing. That's kind of simple, really. I mean, basically your fuel pump controls, your fans, and if you got AC, your AC basically on and off switch that tells the processor to bump the RPM, keep it from stalling.
Okay, so what about your IEC? So typically people have a lot of issue with idle, and idle is usually the hardest thing to get down. So where are you guys starting at with that?
Well, what I found, obviously, on my car, I went with the GM stepper motor because Holley really plays a lot nicer with the GM sensors and actuators. But what I have figured out here lately, pretty decent how to get the pulse width modulation motor on the work pretty decent on the Holley. So like I said, there's actually an ICF right here for idle. You can come over here to the 5-liter Ford, and it's a drive-by-wire. I don't want to leave this alone. I don't want to worry about that. All this stuff right here is pretty good, how it's already set up. Obviously your idle speed and work park switch. Percentage wise, actually the Ford ones you kind of want to up this all to 40. They all seem to like being parked around 40%. What I've found that helps it the most if you come in and make an advanced table. Holley actually just has a little video on this they had made up to help. So it's basically, let's see here, make a 1D table. All right, and I'm gonna enable it. Leave RPM offset. Wherever they got it hidden at. All right, there it is. All right, position off. Yeah, the one axis is going to be RPM. And let's see how we want to activate this. They go.
So
RPM.
you're basically, okay, you're gonna make it off RPM. So
Yeah, that's where I'm trying to set it up. Let's see, 100 RPM, so above cranking. Don't worry about that one. So it's really just advanced tables when it's above 100 RPM. Okay, so see, we want to do this from basically say 2500 0. Well, values, and so if I remember this right, let's see if I can pull up one of my other ones here. I think I got one here.
and you doing something similar to this, or
I'm
no?
trying to I have it set up in one of these here. Let's see, that one. Let me open another one up beside it. Yeah, okay.
Spicy. So.
Ah, here we go. So here, this is IAC offset. Okay, so here we go. So obviously we got it set up off of RPM, and basically what it does is this is where we want the car to idle, and it's advanced table basically that gives the car, if it drops below what we're asking to idle, pretty a big burp of air to kind of help bring it back, and it tries to hold it right here, keep it from hunting. It's your smooth ramp down, but like I said, this little burp on this table right here kind of
Can you
helps.
zoom out on that, Zach?
Do I
Kind
now?
of zoom. It's zoomed really in far. Can you zoom out on that
Yeah.
a little bit so we can all see the screen? We can't see the full screen.
Wonder if it's because I got the other one out. Hold on.
Yeah, you're probably on another screen. There you go. You're back.
Move this one. Oh, I know what's going on. Hold on.
So I'll do something similar to this as well, except I use the TPS to what's called 0% demand on the TPS, and basically use the timing to demand my idle speed.
There we go. Here's the one we're looking for. There we go. But yeah, there we go. Okay.
Now
But yeah,
we're in
that's-
business.
Yeah, you do this on top of the standard idle ICF. It's kind of how I have it set up on. This is on Jeff's car. This is how I have it set up on it, where your frequency and everything seems to work really well. Like I said, it's still obviously kind of finicky. These, for some reason, I don't know why the Holley just doesn't care for the pulse width modulating IACs. But this basically paired with this 1D table seems make them function a lot better. Idle-wise. Said Holley actually put out a video on this. I think a few months ago. That's how I found it and how to actually set it up. Mine's is a little bit different than how they show it. Theirs are a little smoother, but this is what ended up working the best.
So do they not have a PID set to already do that? Like a derivative? Is it derivative? I think it's what it is to be able to do that. Because basically you're using it as a stop is basically what you're doing, right? So
Yeah, like I said,
it's coming down.
yeah.
You're using that as a stop to where it catches it and then forces air back in it to idle it back up into its spot.
Basically.
Interesting. So is there any other tables that we might use that people might need for basic drag racing or something like that? Like maybe a launch table or something?
And coolant pressure too, also. You get a coolant pressure inlet or IO. You have a sensor on the coolant pressure or the coolant system, and then you can have it retard timing if it gets to a certain point that you're not happy with.
Can you explain why you would do that?
If you're lifting cylinder heads.
So basically you're getting air in the coolant. A lot of people don't know that, so you got to explain it.
Yep. So cylinder pressure is, when the cylinder pressure gets too high, whether it be via too much booster timing or combination of both, there's a chance you can compromise the head gasket and you can get some of that pressure into the coolant system. So you can have a sensor on the coolant system, so that way if so for instance, we would create a table like what Zach has on here, only on the bottom it would be in pressure. We have, up to let's just say up to 20 PSI, because I believe that the cap on typical coolant pressures or coolant systems is like 16 or something like that. So then as you go down, you can have a timing offset. So on the left side, you'll have your timing, and on the bottom, you'll have your pressure. So at a specific pressure, you can start to ramp timing down if your sensor picks up a reading that is not where you want it. So there was one pass that I had recently where it picked up. It was like a 13 PSI pressure spike, which isn't, it's not exceeding anything, but I had that window real tight. I had to start pulling timing out at like 10 PSI. And you could actually feel the car nose over. And then if you watch how the log looked, it came up, it spiked for a second. Then as soon as the safety kicked on, it dropped it back down. So that's real helpful on keeping, at least telling you, hey, something, you just got to watch it, or hey, you should probably back things down, or tell you if something's wrong, or something's going to be
It's about to get wet.
Yeah. Been there before, so you know what that's like.
Yeah, don't need that. That's scary on the top end. Anything like this for SCT? I'm guessing probably not unless Zach wants to go over it, because I don't know shit about SCT.
Yeah, Zach's probably got the most on SCT.
You can't do any advanced tables or anything like that on the stock stuff. The stock stuff does it pretty well. So
yeah, all you can do is set it up and hope for the best. Push some buttons.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing you can do for the stock stuff is make sure your TPS voltage is right, and you use a good OEM Ford idle air control motor, but that's kind of really it.
Zach said he'll fly to you for a certain price.
Hey, that's the move right there.
Yeah.
No shop overhead.
That's it.
Yeah, there you go. You guys want anything else here before I switch over to the data logs?
I can touch on some of these on some of these safeties, because I think I have about 7 safeties total. I can share my screen if you want me to.
Everybody mute their mics. The king speaking.
No.
Yeah, I'll stop mine.
Let's see here. You see that screen?
Yep.
All right, so I'll run through the safeties I'm running on my car. Brian and I have kind of worked together on some of these, but I've got 6 total right now. I've got an AFR safety. I don't really worry about stuff to about 12.4. Right at 12.4, I got, obviously you got AFR here, RPM on the bottom here. Start pulling about 10 degrees out at 12.4. There's some stuff you have to pay attention to, because if you're on a shift, in between shifts, on and off the throttle, whatever you're doing, you can do a time delay to start. So if you have this window really tight, it may try to shut the car off just because it's in a transitional period of going on and off the throttle. If you've tagged the limiter, depending on how you drive. So I've actually had some shutdowns that this was related to, specifically to having this kind of too tight with the rev limiter a little low. But I've got an IE22 safety. We've done a lot of correlation with data over the past couple of years with IET2s. Obviously 155 here. I got 1 degree coming out. If it's up above 5,500 RPM, 160, it starts 2 degrees out, 170, 5 degrees. If this car is ever seeing like 170, something's going on. So it will exponentially ramp up and you're going to feel it. I got an oil pressure safety, obviously. This is pretty simple for me. Anything above 4,000. If it's below 45, I got a boundary pump in this car and it sees like 82 on a pass at the track. So if it's getting down to 45 on a pass, there's something going on. It's something's departed, or I've got a serious bearing issue. So I have a voltage safety. I have this one pretty aggressive. So right at 12.0, I got 30 degrees coming out of it. It's going to basically try to shut the car down at that point. You probably try to fly through the belts because it's going to feel like you done slammed the brakes on. There's another one here. I got a coolant safety. This is actually a safety I added after I relocated the alternator. I had a inner tensioner failure, and on the return road, I looked down and my temp was 225 because I didn't have a water pump spinning. So that's another safety that I added after that failure. Luckily nothing was hurt. This is we were talking about coolant pressure. This is what this table looks like. So timing offset here on this axis, this is coolant pressure here. Right at basically 12 PSI of sensor pressure. I've got 8 degrees coming out because I've never seen that much pressure on a data log. I've got 15 coming out at 14 PSI, which would be cap pressure. Then at 16 is when you're going to start blowing shit out of the cap itself. I just got a ton of timing coming out of it. And there's other ways to set, these safeties and what they do and how they actually correlate to the car and how the car is going to feel. You can pull spark out, richen the car up, and do everything else. I just use timing because you can definitely feel it, And this is a table I was messing with when we were talking about drag racing specifics. So I have a drive shaft speed sensor on this car. This would represent basically the first number here would be at the crack of the drive shaft, all the way up. Right at the beginning of top of second would be 4,000 RPM of drive shaft speed. So this is something I was kind of messing with, didn't get a ton of time to do it because we rained out every track event here in August besides one. But basically how this is set up is as soon as you have drive shaft speed RPM above 150, it will be pulling 10 degrees out. And you can exponentially feed this timing back in until it's back to actually what you're commanding in the tune. So this is a drive shaft speed based timing table. If you're on a slick track, no prep, whatever else. Unfortunately, with a stick blower car, it's kind of
Alaska
hard.
Raceway Park.
Yeah, that's a fun example. But it's really hard to pull boost by gear out with these PD blower cars. You can get creative, but this is a pretty tried and true way that I'm going to kind of experiment with more next year. So, but I don't know what else. That's all I got. Any questions?
What you got, Brian? You got anything over there? Somebody was asking about the drive shaft speed sensor, but you uncovered it.
Yeah, I don't have anything prepared. As you guys know, I was thrashing this week and was kind of busy, but and kind of a last minute join. But as far as safeties go, I don't have as many as Alan. I do have a similar AFR safety, as well as the coolant pressure safety, and that's really all that I run currently. But other than that, like a lot of the stuff that Alan's doing is kind of the stuff that I've been doing too. We share a lot of the same information and kind of tackle things in the same manner. So he pretty much covered everything, you know, that I would do. So with the PD blower stuff, it's rather simple in comparison to some of the turbo stuff. There's a lot more to be had with the turbo combination, a lot more settings, a lot more in-depthness with some of the advanced tables and things like that. But yeah, the blower life's a little easier, I would say, just from the outside looking in. So
Yeah, for sure. It's a lot easier than the turbo stuff, that pop and bang.
Um,
Go ahead, Zach.
we can talk about how we figured out how to do the 2-step no lift shift if you want to, Brian.
yeah, Zach was the man on this one. I was just all year was trying to figure out a good way to wire in the no lift shift or try to figure out a way to do a no lift shift. That's one gripe that I have with the Holley. I think MS3 offers like an ignition cut on shifts. Holley does not. So you got to get creative. Zach reached out to me and he came up with a good method on how to get it all set up. It required using a couple inputs and outputs. However, it does work, and you can set a timer on your no lift shift like you would on like a wide open throttle box or whatever else.
You don't just let it bounce off limiter.
Yeah, you don't just let it smack the limiter and go to the next.
I was getting ready to say it. You don't drive it into the limiter and just let it rip.
No. I mean that's
That's how you break
resort.
shit, right? I think I know somebody's
That's
tried
how
that.
Apparently, it's how you go fast. It's all the fast guys do it, but yeah. So basically, this is everything. Zach came up with this idea. You have an input coming in from your clutch switch, which is basically telling the ECU that your clutch is depressed, and then you can create two outputs. One would be for like your 2-step, and you can set it up for activate when your clutch switch is enabled, and then have a secondary. Yeah, Zach could probably pull it up right now on the thing.
Okay, yeah. So basically, we're using the rev limiter 1 as the 2-step, and the rev limiter 2 as the no lift. So I got this set for my car, obviously, because I got stock cams. So I'm gonna shift it at 7,000. But obviously, on at 6750 and off, whatever, that's basically you using an ignition cut like a whatever for the no lift. But the secret, the magic is, I guess, it's figuring out how to wire this up. And I sat one night out, we're just hanging out, and I just looked and I was thinking, and I just finally put it together. So basically, I just went to inputs and outputs, and I figured, well, you can, come on, pull up.
Get that pin map.
Frozen up.
Alan, they want to know. Alan,
There
are you
we
in your
go.
lunch break?
Hey, oh, there it is. It just came and went.
There we go. All right. No, so I figured out, since you can tag them together, why don't I use one input to control 2 outputs? So obviously, we used I'm on my car, I used obviously my clutch input. I'm using a ground. If you use the factory clutch switch, you have to use 12 volts. But basically, and I'm using it at J1 A12, which if you look at your pin map, I have it listed as input. There it is with the nitrous. So yeah, clutch input 1, that's a ground input. Like I said, I have the nitrous input too. So obviously when this is activated, if I'm spraying the car, it'll shut the nitrous off so I don't spray it to the shift. That's a no-no. So you do that, and then you come over here to your outputs. This is where you set it up. So like I said, you go ahead and name one your 2-step and one your no lift, and they will all be ground. Because everything was ground triggered, it's a lot safer. So obviously you do that, you come over and enable it, you assign it a pin, you make sure obviously the pin can handle a ground output, and you'll come over here and configure it. So we'll start with 2-step, because obviously it's first in lineage. And basically you come up here, we got one input trigger. So this is our one trigger that tells it to activate it. So this output will activate when our clutch is enabled. And so we make an and. So this has to happen and this has to happen. Obviously our throttle has to be above 95, which is wide open. And also your RPM is below 5,500. It's more than likely your two-step on these blower cars is going to be below that, unless you're just getting crazy after it. But so that means this limiter is only going to come active if the RPM is below that, which the actual two-step, if we come back here, actually it's one.
On mine, I use drive shaft speed also below a certain RPM. So that,
I don't have a drive shaft speed sensor, so I won't be using this. But obviously, your two-step is going to be right now. I got it set 48, so it's below that. So as long it won't allow it to go above 55, so it's going to only be on then. So stay back here and go back to our outputs. Bigger. So okay, so that's that, and also we do a linked output. So just to make sure for some reason that there's no way it can come on when you want your no lift. So we want this output to activate when no lift is disabled. That's pretty simple on that one. And so we'll come back here for the no lift side, which is your rev limiter 2. And this one as well is only enabled when your clutch input 1 is active. Your TPS is above 90%. And your RPM is above 65. So if your RPM is below this, this won't happen. This won't come on. It won't set that limiter. On my car, it's 6750, as well as this has to be disabled.
Yeah.
Now, what seems to happen if you just do it off of this, it's too slow. It seems like if you just do it simple on and off of the switch, it's too slow and it's long. So because that's how long the drag of the clutch switch is, like it activates like halfway down the pedal. So you have like a lot of time before it shuts off. So I figured we'll use a timer to activate it. So even though the clutch switch still may be closed and sending a signal, it's going to shut off before then. So this is kind of a starting point, because on the N2MB box, that's kind of the slowest you can get. Obviously, you're going to have to play with this car with your car, your shifting pattern or whatever, how to make it work, what works for you. But this is how you basically set up with timer. And the wiring is really simple. I don't have a diagram. It'd be hard to show it in my car because the harness is in the car. But really, all you do is you have your, everybody knows on your J1A and J1B, whatever, you have your 5 inputs, 5 outputs. So you'll use 1 input for your clutch. And then basically your outputs, you'll have 2 outputs. They're ground. Obviously, make sure they match what you want in your parameters. So you'll have your outputs, and you'll basically wire your outputs directly back into your inputs. So that's how basically you can minimalize wiring and use 1 actual input from your clutch switch to control 2 different things. That's seemed to work with Brian. Like I said, my car isn't quite done yet, so I haven't tried it on mine, but in theory it works on his. It should work on mine.
No, I can't thank you enough on that, man, because I tried a couple different methods that were close, but just couldn't get it completely lined out. So you definitely nailed it with that one for sure. So thank you, brother.
Quick question. Guy wants to know what compression everybody's running.
I am 10-1. Alan's 9-1, and then Zach, old stalker.
No compression.
No compression. No hard.
Oh no, it does show pretty good on the compression test. I mean, it shows 160. It's 170 sometimes when it's happy.
That's like 30 more than mine.
Man.
So she's healthy.
Now.
All right. Anybody got any good data logs to go over real quick? I would like to see one that you got one where you're spinning, maybe one where you're like IETs or something's going crazy, or something going wrong in the past that you had to abort. Anybody got anything like that?
Yeah. If you give me a second, I can try and find some stuff.
All right. Sounds good. What's going on second shift? How's that rain down there in Florida?
Yeah.
That sucks.
It does suck big time. Y'all drove through the night too. Freaking Garrett looked miserable in his videos and his updates.
Bad pass.
Hey, B Reed, when's that car gonna be ready?
Sometime in the spring.
Old
Dude,
sectional
I'm-
teal.
Old
Dude,
sectional
I'm
teal.
looking forward to it. I love that car.
I miss her.
I appreciate
Oh,
it. I got
I
a
loved it.
Chevy notification. My brakes are finally on their way after a 2.5 month wait. So
Yeah.
it's all
Yeah,
coming
everything's
together.
behind. It's
All
ridiculous.
the big stuff's ordered. Now it's just chopping up the stock Coyote harness and finishing the interior and all that other good stuff that goes along with it.
Gotcha. Is that Gen 3 or Gen 2?
Gen 3, Gen 5 Whipple,
Oh, shit.
Magnum.
He's doing it right.
I didn't know he was doing Whipple. I knew it. Last I heard he was just doing Coyote. I didn't know he was doing Whipple.
I'm doing it the smart way. What Brian should be thinking about doing.
Yeah. That's what
Front
Zach's,
motor gonna make
that's what
1,000
Zach's
horsepower,
gonna
no
do.
problem.
Yeah, Zach's gonna have a Coyote. I know it. It's gonna happen. Right as soon
Yeah.
as he gets done putting a window on the side of that one.
No, I've done gone too far with the Holley. I'm gonna have to stretch out the 4.6 a little longer.
You were asking yesterday how much it was gonna make. 31,
600.
32, 33, 34,
699 horsepower.
699.
That's it.
That's
Perfect.
right. Okay.
Actually, okay, so I got a log right here that kind of shows the AFR safety kicking in. This was on the dyno earlier in the year when we found out that we had some fuel pump trouble. Maxed out 2 Hellcat pumps, had to go to triples. Hold on, how do I get the 1 second? How do I share my screen? Share screen. Okay. All right. Let me know when y'all can see it.
Yeah, you're
Yep.
good.
All right. So let's get this out here. So this is 4th gear pull. Due to the adjustable clutch, we couldn't load it down at like $2,000, $3,000 like you normally would on a dyno with a diaphragm clutch. So it looks like I started to tip into it at 47, 48, 49, 5,000. We're watt here at 5,600 RPM. We're cruising along here, and then as you can see in this area here, oh crap! Hold up! I screwed up. I'm gonna move this.
Your first time or what?
First timer here, so no. So down on the back end here. So blue line is target AFR, red line is actual AFR, and you can see on the left side of the screen over here, AFR safety. It's pulling timing because the AFR is running away. So we're targeting 11.5, or 12.1, 12.2, 12.1, and you can see it pull timing minus 4.6, 5. So basically from 7,200, 7,300 onward, we're yanking timing basically the rest of the way out because we were losing fuel pressure. And with the injectors that we got in the car, it's got Bosch 210s in it, so we could have manipulated the table to allow for or opened up the compensation limits to allow for more correction. But I mean, the writing was on the wall that we're on a pump. So we called it quits. And this pull right here, it made 1030, I think, at like 7,200, and then it started pulling timing. So it was on its way north of 1050, probably 1070 area. I don't know, somewhere in that ballpark.
So this was on a dyno, or was this actually on a track?
It's a dyno. This was on the dyno back in March.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So this is just an example of a safety kicking in. You can go here on your log, like on the left-hand side here, and you can put the parameter in AFR safety, and you can see it actually kick in. So the green line's here coming downward. That's that safety kicking in, yanking timing outward because the AFR is running away.
What about the Holley compensation, the closed loop? I'm guessing it's probably trying to catch it.
Oh, it was maxed out at that point. I'd have to go through in here. Hold on a second. So configuration. CL we'll put that in under there. Yeah, I have it maxed at 15%.
So you're not allowing it to add no more than 15.
Right. If it's adding more than 15, it's something's not right.
Yeah, you don't want to use the closed loop comp to tune the car. You want to get it really, really close and just have that for a safety.
Zach, say that again.
You don't want to use closed loop compensation to tune the car. You want to have it really, really close to right and just use that for a safety.
Yeah, right now with everything set up, when we were out at the track last week, we were, fourth gear all the way through. We're seeing anywhere, only 2 to 3% compensation. Anywhere plus or minus 5 is, I would say, is good. If you're correcting 10-ish or more, you gotta adjust the fuel table and just make sure that everything's right.
Basically, you're
yes.
adjusting the VE table to make sure everything's in check there.
Yep. So it'd be up in this area here. So I run mine off fuel flow, not VE.
Mhm.
So in this particular area, so if we wanted to, like in this particular case on the dyno, if we wanted to manipulate it, we would just go control right and we would just add fuel to it and just let it eat or take the composition limit up. But it's
basically making the injector do the work.
Right.
Because you got 210, so you got plenty of fuel, I would assume.
Yeah, we were only hold on a second. Let me see what the duty cycle was.
So did
so
the
on
210s come with good data or not? Yes, no.
So basically on mine for the 210s, if you click FIC 2150H, that puts in everything. And you don't gotta touch it. Yep.
Yeah. Well,
and then also
actually, they have the 210 data in there now.
Yeah.
They do now. Yeah, they right here, Bosch 210. So I could even switch it to that, but with the 2150H data, everything seems to be working. So I mean, I could try it, but right now I'm good with it.
I've got a really good example, and I think Brian, you found this on one of my logs when I had a dip in voltage. So I've got twin Hellcat pumps in my car. I'll pull up my screen here. I've got a really good example of what this thing is capable of if it's set up right. So obviously this is let me see here. This is 864 at 163 pass. I'll clear all this off here. So this is obviously two-step, the flare, second gear, third gear, and fourth gear. If we look at voltage here, you'll see a dip right here. So it dips down to 13.5 in the middle of the pass. So I'm going to zoom back out, and you can see what a max set of fuel pumps look like on a data log for the track. So this is what they look like. So you're entering, we'll use fourth gear, for example. I enter fourth gear here. I've got about 76 pounds of fuel pressure at the top of fourth. I'm kind of coming down to 74, but here's what's interesting. The reason why this dropped down is the fan kicked on at 190, because that's where I have my high-speed fan coming on. So it dropped down right here, and then you can see the fuel pressure drop accordingly with this.
Yeah.
So what we're also going to do is the AFR safety kicked on. See the kick for the timing come in?
Mm-hmm.
So it pulled timing out of the car automatically because it dropped fuel pressure, which see the AFR came up momentarily. It sustained after the fan and it came back, and it obviously the AFR got itself back in check. And I target 11.7 AFR. So this is a really good example of a lot of stuff going on. Obviously voltage drop, fan comes on, fuel pressure drops. It senses the AFR coming up, so it pulls the timing out of the car. And I've got a safety deal here too, and you can see it pull the timing out of the car too. in my safety.
Oh, do
vehicle.
you only have closed loop compensation to 8%? Is that what your max is? Because I don't see.
No, I have it at 20 here. So if we go back to the tune I have here, obviously target 11.7, and you go into closed loop. I run mine at 20%. So I have closed loop at 20% and learn, but most of the time on my data logs, if we come back out here, and that was a weird case, but even at the top of fourth gear, it's actually pulling fuel out of the car, despite it, the fuel pressure's dropping. So you can still drop fuel pressure and be plenty safe with things going on. But when you got fuel pressure running away 15, 20 PSI versus where you actually enter a gear, that's when you get yourself into trouble. That's where these safeties help. So the third gear deal here where I had the fan kick on, the voltage dropped. It was kind of compiled by a set of pumps that were already a little, and I'm addressing that next year, but that's a good instance here on this data log to where you can see everything that worked like it should have. So
Look at first gear, Alan, where you peak what and drop to what in first?
yeah, first. So it peaked at, which is weird sometimes, and I can't nail that down. It peaked at 74 and dropped down to 64. Look at the closed comp, which I have no clue why it did that. So because you had good alternator voltage at 14.8, so the fan wasn't on. So I don't know.
Usually when it revs up faster, like quicker like that, like the shorter gears, like first and second and stuff, like you might see it drop faster versus a long gear that's loaded more.
But I like those. I like keeping that I agree with Zach. You shouldn't be tuning.
No, definitely
You should not be tuning off of this. But it's good to get the car close and have these. A lot of people turn them off. I like to have them in the 10 to 20%. And this is closed loop, obviously open loop. I got mine at 20, and I've even got an example of. I was talking about this earlier. Been driving around. It's colder here. I've got an example that I pulled off to get in my learn table, because it's been down in the high 30s, low 40s versus the summer here, 70s, 80s, and this is the car trying to learn itself in the base fuel table. So it's always learning, but you shouldn't have them. You should be driving around with them at a 50 to 100%, plus or minus. That's all I got.
And four. So do any of you guys want to talk over maybe looking at a time slip and what you're looking at from like maybe the 60 to 330 or 60 foot or whatever like that, and what you can do in your basically in your Holley to timing wise? So like I say, you add a degree of timing at a certain point. Is it picking up from 60 to 330? You guys dissect y'all's time slip that way or not?
I don't personally. I don't have a time slip I can show you.
Well, I can pull up something.
Brian probably does stuff different. I don't. I have run the same timing table the whole year minus what I'm targeting, obviously for boost, and we can go through what a timing table looks like. But I don't change my timing between passes. If
basically, I want to just like, if something happens in a pass, say you make a full pass and it's not doing what you think it is, are you looking at the splits to see what's going on, or are you just looking in the log all at just one piece? You know what I'm saying?
I can give an example of clutch tuning for one, because that's much, having the adjustable clutch and incorporating the slip off the hit is in some cases, if it's too loose, could be a time waster. So I can give an example of that. Usually, like with the PD blower cars, like if your tune-up is if your tune-up's pretty solid, like you go to the dyno and everything's working, there's not really much to look at a whole ton in the logs unless it's way off. Way off would be, you do want to look for belt slip. You want to look for make sure your safeties aren't kicking on.
Anybody got a log of belt slip?
I do have one of belt slip. Actually, as a matter of fact, I do. Hold on.
Bring that sucker up.
hold on. So this is actually from MIR back in March when the car went 875 for the first time.
Does the Holley have traction control and flex fuel?
You can
Flex
you
fuel,
can
yes.
you
Can
can
make
you can
traction
make it stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Let me
I've got
show
a
you.
really good example here of when I ran into some belt slip earlier in the year when I was still 8 rib and stock location alternator. When I was on a dyno, I actually took it up to 8,500, and it still made good power, but it was at like, I'm looking at it now, it was at the top of the pool and it only made 22 pounds and it still made close to 940 or something.
Can you
So
guys see my
on-
screen?
Yeah, I see your screen.
Yeah.
So Brian, on your clutch, can you actually see the slip, like the percentage? Do you have a way to
Yes.
calculate that? Okay, cool.
Yes. Yep. I'll show you guys that in a second too. So, okay. So we got this particular log. We'll get battery out of there. Green line is TPS. Red line is RPM, and then the pink line is boost. So this particular case, we were peaking in first gear 25 pounds, and then as it ramped up, dropped to 22. Shift into second, we saw a peak of 25 and a half, drop down to 22.4. And then into third gear, 25.8, and then we lose it down to 23-ish. And then in fourth gear, 26.2, and then drop it down to 23.7. Thankfully, the DA was magnificent that day, or else we would have really felt some pain on this pass. But on in particular to the clutch slip, so I'm going to highlight first gear here. So let me get some of this other garbage out of here. So drive shaft speed, blue is clutch slippage rate. Pink is like our two-step, basically getting off the pedal. What I'm looking at when I look at my clutch slippage is I come over here to where it locks up. I need to move this. I got y'all's faces in my way here. So up here, shit, you guys are in my way again. There we go. Okay. So what I'm looking for, if you look over on the left, I'm looking for clutch slippage at 0%. This is based off of input shaft speed. I got an input shaft speed sensor on this car. So the first moment that I see is 0%, I take that time up here in the top right. So I got 2.002. Let's see here. So 2.002. And then typically I go from this moment right here for the release, and I'm seeing 0.598. So my total slippage time from this point to lockup is 1.40 seconds, and my 60 foot on this pass was a 130. So to me, that's indicating that the clutch is way too loose. If we can get that down to closer to 1.2, 1.1, even 1, on a good track, that'll significantly reduce the 60 foot time. Still trying to find the happy medium with this car on, obviously PD blower car, with all the power right off the hit. It's been difficult to find the happy medium, even with the adjustable clutch on getting it to hook when we're trying to keep everything real tight. But that's basically what I look at. So like over here on clutch slippage, you can put in a formula under, so let's see here. There's a way to put it in math channels. And then you have you put in clutch slippage, and then that's the formula right there for clutch slippage. And then I'll automatically pre-calculate it for you onto your log. So, and I got some other formulas in here for, crank torque, crank horsepower. It's just stuff that I found on the interwebs or whatever, and I was just playing with one day when I was bored.
Well,
It
how
gets
accurate
kind of,
is it?
yeah, you got to do some finagling, I believe, with this number, the 0.84 number. I got to relook at what everything means again. It's been a while. But that number right there, I had to manipulate for it to get close. And that's based off of fuel flow too. So, and we found out that based off of, the pickup that we saw between my car and Alan's car and Dan's car, with the inductive delay change, that fuel flow doesn't really have an exact correlation to power, because we're not seeing too much difference in fuel flow, but we're seeing, anywhere between 4 and 6 mile an hour pickup in the quarter mile, which is indicating the car's making a lot more power. So it's not really a direct correlation, but you can manipulate it to get it close. It's more or less just
Accelerometer. You guys running a G sensor? No.
a what? I'm sorry?
Accelerometer? G meter?
Accelerometer? No, just on the draggy. That's all we got.
Gotcha. Anybody else
We
got
were
anything else?
I'm trying to think if there's anything else on here. When I look at
I've got a real good, I've got a
yeah,
good,
let Alan get on his. Yeah.
I got one that when I was on the hub dyno earlier this year. This is when this car, I wanted to part it out after the belt slip issues. This is when they really manifested themselves. So this is a 4th gear pull, obviously on a dyno. We took it all the way up to 8478. Started the pull at 5,000, but it tipped in here and we can see the boost line. Let me move this out of the way here. But we can see the boost kind of hung out here and then it just started dropping off real quick. But at the lowest point, what I want to point out is say we're at 73, or say we got 26 pounds of boost in the car, AFR is good. It had 19.2 in it, but how you have the ignition table set up with this, as you're dropping boost, it will feed some timing in it. So I think at this point, at that timing point with the tune, it dropped all the way down to 20 pounds. So it kind of came, it had but about 21 degrees in it at that point. But that's the stuff you can do with the tune up. If you come back to the ignition table, you can kind of see how it's based here. Obviously boost on the left, RPM here. So, right now, say if that was to happen, I'd have 22 degrees in it at 22 pounds. And then obviously up here in this area where I was ended the season at, it'll automatically kind of feed it in. So,
Man, this is proprietary information here. This is King's
yeah, I'll
ransom.
get all this.
Yeah, this is top secret. We went way beyond basics on this. You guys better be appreciative of this crap. We're gonna have certain YouTubers on this channel in a minute. They still think they got to drive into a damn rev limiter.
But that's all you got to do to shift, man. But yeah, the timing numbers, I mean, they're nothing special. It's the same stuff that people have been doing for years. So, but yeah, that's what belt slip looks like on a dyno pool, just strictly a 4th gear dyno pool. Different things going on though, but you can manipulate it with the Holley. So that's all I got.
10-4. I think everybody got a good glimpse of the Holley today. I mean, Jesus. Anybody else got any questions over here? Somebody asked something. Oh, Wesley Evans just arrived. Yeah, he's a badass.
Oh, Jesus. Real deal.
Dude, that dude can drive. Straight up.
If there's one guy that can wrangle the bear, man, it's Wesley Evans.
I'd take the bear. We got to get that car down here some way.
Yeah, Alan actually has a plan to get that car down here for 2022 at some point.
Yep, that's the focus. Get the new motor together, get it running, and get things dialed in, get a lot of solid 850 passes, then kind of shift focus in July and August and start trying to get it down there. So this time next year it'll be down there and I'll be flying down on a plane to come race and fly back on Monday or Tuesday. So that's the plan.
And you're coming to my nationals this year, right?
Yep, that's the plan. So I got to throw down some tickets.
Daniel,
There you go.
There, right?
Go ahead. What did you say, Brian?
Daniel, you're coming to mods, right?
I'm working, man. I can't get off. I was supposed to go to a Haltech meet last weekend or the previous weekend, but everybody's using the C word excuse right now.
Hey.
So
C-word.
there you go, guys. He's going to mod nats, you know, shaking babies, kissing hands, that kind of thing.
That'll be Brian's deal, dude. I'm gonna.
Oh,
That'll be
Give
Brian.
me checking my tire pressure. Make him my peasant for the weekend.
Yeah.
you better bring that crown.
Until I actually drive that car, I don't want. I don't
Oh
know.
shit!
We'll turn the
Drive
time
it.
clocks off.
Drive it, man.
shit.
Drive it. You can drive it. It's all
You better
yours,
bring
man.
the crowns. All I gotta say, because I got a feeling the crown's gonna be handed over at mod
Already
nats.
got a box, man. It's gonna
It's gonna be handed
tomorrow.
over for mod nets.
You
Yeah.
think so?
I
You
give-
think so?
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
don't know. I'm gonna say mod nats. I'm calling it 8. I'm gonna call it 8:48 is what it's gonna go.
Woo! That was
8:48.
my call.
He go 47 to what is it tomorrow? You're gonna go 47.
47.
No,
Damn.
I think 47 tomorrow.
So let's
Well-
take a bet. What's Zach gonna run here with the stock motor? Is he gonna get an 8?
I
Are you
think
gonna
Jackson
are you
Cole-
gonna put a slipper clutch in that thing?
Next year.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, Alan's got one. He'll sell it to you.
We can take a poll on how good a chance the jet will be taken out of the nitrous line.
What jet?
I got a
jet?
type-
I thought
I
you
got a
said
typer
something
I can
about 3 a.m.
Yeah, that's a Dash 3 jet in that one.
Dash 3.
There you go, Dash 3 jet.
Whatever the
Don't
inside
look.
of that fittings orifice is, I think it's like 0.625 or something like that. Or
Oh
0.625.
my god. Are you going to mod nats?
Yeah.
Are you really?
Yeah. Either it's going to run 8s or I'm going to blow it up there. That's what's
Oh my
happening.
god.
I like
Somebody
that.
video that.
You got
Can
a
you put a
diaper, man.
GoPro?
Make
Put a
sure.
GoPro.
Yep.
Don't
I'll put the
pull the
diaper
chat.
on it.
Don't pull a Chad Creamer, man. That was nasty.
Yeah, he was talking about that at NMRA. So that thing had like 12 miles on it when it did that. That
Yeah, I
sucks.
saw that, man. That was
Yeah, that's
That's
a
a
kick in the
heartbreaker,
nuts.
man.
Yes,
brutal,
it is.
man.
Big time.
It happened up top too. It didn't happen down low. That's man.
What, a cam lockup or something?
No, it chucked a rod bolt or something, a cap or something came off, or the crank broke, or I don't know what it was.
It,
Oh.
wa-
I thought
it
it
was
was bottom.
together, right?
Yeah, I thought it was bottom end, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Bottom
Yeah,
end, top end of the racetrack's probably what it's saying.
No. Yeah, top end of the racetrack, but it was bottom end failure.
Oh,
yeah,
Gotcha,
yeah. It
gotcha,
happened
gotcha.
way up on the big end, but man, he's very fortunate. I watched that happen. So that was one of the 2 passes I saw.
King, you might you can keep the crown. This weekend the weather's looking kind of hot up here. It's actually gonna be 80 on Sunday when we're racing. So I
Dude,
don't know
just
if we're
put
gonna
That's
just put more inductive delay in it, man. Just let it eat, dude. Just
Oh shit.
look at
That
it.
covers
Quit
it up.
looking at data logs and let it eat, man.
Yeah. More inductive delay. That's good for a half second.
Just pull the
We
plugs
got,
out, throw them in the trash, and just put a new set of plugs in at each pass. Don't worry about reading them. Just let it eat. Turn the safeties off and everything else.
we got the King's old clutch in the car. We're gonna finish the year off on Allen's Black Magic, and we sent mine in for a refresh. So he saved us. We were the old clutch disc wasn't looking very good.
I was going to send it an RXT, but
I mean, we could have probably limped it through the rest of the season, but I don't know, man. That was
I was
trying
going
to
to send
say-
you an RXT, but I didn't want you to go faster. So, I mean,
Yeah. He's scared of the RXT.
hey,
He doesn't want to go that
Hey, I got a
fast,
question. Are you pushing the clutch in every time you shift gears or no?
me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Are you-
lifting off
Yeah,
the throttle too.
listen to my drive, listen to my videos, man. I lift, I do all that shit.
I just want. What's the music about? We got to know what the music's about. Dude, you're jamming. You're rocking out every time I hear a pass in your car.
I gotta catch a vibe, man. I gotta be in the zone. I gotta chill out. Gotta have the music going. You know, it's
Got to have a radio in your street car.
Street
Yeah,
car. It's got to have tailpipes for that.
Dude, yeah, I don't got that anymore. So,
Oh, I got them.
yeah, you do. Yours is real nice. You got some real nice yours, man. Oh,
He's just like all of us. He ain't got AC. Don't even lie.
Oh, he's gonna show them off right now.
Uh-oh.
The old V-banders.
They're really dirty.
Has some slick stuff there.
That is some slick stuff, man. No, I went 8 on an RXT. I'm good. I was ready to try something new. I don't know. I don't got the driver mod like the king over here. I got to do everything in my power to I gotta spend a ton of money and I gotta cheat to try to keep up. So
Me too. That's why I use it. That's why I got this. I
I
can't
don't know
drive.
what the hell is that? I don't
there
know
you
what the
go.
hell that
There you
is.
go.
Part of the clutch timer.
Yep.
Oh, gotcha.
Yep.
So this guy wants to know, what does he need for traction control on the Holley HP? I don't even know if you have enough inputs, outputs for that.
You'd have to get the expansion box.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the expansion box on mine. It's really easy to use. Yeah, but you're gonna need the expansion box, drive shaft speed.
And probably a front wheel speed too.
Does he need Davis box or the little Davis thing?
No,
Or
it's
no?
it's an input output expansion box. Holley, they just came out with it. I don't know what, 6 months ago.
Oh,
year
yeah,
ago?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Or the
camera.
dash. I guess the dash will do it too, won't it? If he has an aftermarket or the bigger
The
dash.
dash is limited though. It's just power and ground for simple stuff like switches and things like that. If you want to do sensors and if you want to do some other, things like that, you need the expansion box.
Zach, they're saying they don't need to see your tailpipe.
Hey Zach, go. Are you gonna have the tailpipes on for mods, or are you trying to go full no weight, get it done?
Well, if I drive it there, I'll have
Drive
it
it.
on.
Why would you drive it? You already did Rocky Mountain.
Hey, you don't gotta prove nothing, man. You won that.
I got some 2.5-inch mufflers I can loan you. They seem to work.
Oh my
Two and a
god.
half inch mufflers. Well, Daniel, let's talk about your car for a second, man. You got in the 570s at NMRA. That's pretty awesome, dude.
Yeah, I know. I was
That's
screaming like a fucking idiot too at going past to get my ticket. So like, man, that felt great. And I went and got it and I was like, why did I let off? And then a guy
Yeah.
looked at me like, dude, you're an idiot. You just lost. I'm like, so
How'd you had a hot water heater in the trunk feeding the intercoolers up?
you'll have that. I
I
call
heard
it
about
a
that.
it's really a boiler at this point. Somebody done brought that up in chat. Yes, it was 200-degree IT at the end of the pass. I don't want to talk about it, but it is what it is. Yeah, that's the reason why I kind of got out of it, because I was like, I knew it was hot. I was like, I'm gonna melt some shit. But coasted to a 918. I was pretty happy about that.
That's an easy 8-second car there, my friend.
Yep.
Easy.
Yeah, I'd like to get to an 850, but I think I'm gonna have to have some converter work done. I want to have to get with Hugo. Hugo's been a huge help with me on that, dude. I don't know if he's in here or not, but dude, I really appreciate it.
And
I
I
asked
got
him to
Hugo's
join in
great.
on yeah, I asked him to join in like next week or something like that, and he said, well, I'm just normal, nobody wants to listen to me. I'm like, dude, come on. Dude, he knows his
He's
stuff.
OG, man. He went 8s with a stick shift turbo Cobra years ago, man.
Oh, I didn't know he did that. I knew his shit was fast. He showed me some
What do you
pictures of the new car, man. My God.
He's
Yeah.
been deep in the sevens. He's been like 750s or something with that old car before he had his incident. I mean, he's 4.6 car, man. So he's fast.
Yeah, it's been in the 7s, deep in the 7s there. I
Yeah.
just don't recall the time. Yeah.
So yeah, I think everybody here's, well, I don't know what Alan's running, but yeah, everybody here's running 275 radial, pro bracket radials. I'm running radials from like 6 years ago, the original True Street tires. They still work. I went a 13260. I wish I'd have went 1.2, but you'll have that. I don't know what you run, Alan. What size tire you got?
28-10-5 stiff wall slick on a
Who's
W.
your Mickey?
Nope, Mickey. Just stiff wall 10.5 W. We don't have tire size rules here, but I've been pretty fast on a regular 10.5 too. I'm actually going to go back because on a 10-inch rim, I feel it's kind of too big. It creates a secondary. If you're really trying to get after it with the clutch and dropping the clutch, it's creating a secondary rebound event. Just too much. It's not that much bigger than a regular 10.5. It's about 3/4 inch wider, but it does hang over. So I'm going to go back to a regular 10.5 next year. It works up here, but it's got some drawbacks. I'd like to try it on an 11-inch rim, but yeah, it is what it is.
You get more shake if you're not careful with pressure and all that stuff with those.
Yeah,
right?
and that's something I've experienced with the W. This car had never shook the tires, and it shakes the tires pretty much every pass. And if you slow down some of the videos I post up, you can see the mirrors vibrating, and that's usually when I lift is when it starts shaking. Because if you try to drive through the shake, it'll just
Integrate some stuff.
up. Yeah, it's pretty violent. It popped the door open once. It's like it's rattled. You'll come back from a pass and the freaking rearview mirror will be like turned towards the front window. And I'm like, I didn't touch the rearview mirror. Why is it pointed the other way? You know, there'll be
That's
shit
hilarious.
kind of all over the car. Like what happens, you know, but yeah.
Darren, I don't think you can't control the 6 already, can you, Holley?
Mm,
4R70.
But a Motec can now.
Motec.
Motec,
yeah.
Jim Brom's got that going on, don't he?
Yeah.
That
He
car
dialed
seems like it's
in
from.
like 5 passes, he went 790s in.
Jim
Yeah,
Brown's a bad man.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, they're
Sure.
ridiculous.
Those guys down there, they're bad men. That's for sure.
Fighter,
Yeah.
man. Oh, gotcha.
So Alan's done for the year. Daniel, you done for the year?
If I can scrounge up a little bit more cash and get me an intercooler, no. I'm gonna try to go
So-
850 before the end of the year. That's my goal.
What's
Oh,
the
yeah.
next? What are you trying to make? Are you trying? You're not going to mods, but what are you gonna try and make?
Bowling
event?
Green. Bowling Green's still open.
Gotcha.
Beach Bend.
Okay.
Beach Bend's still open. I'm waiting for weather. I was actually gonna go this weekend, but like you said, the weather's still like 80 degrees. I'm waiting for that DA to get down to like 15,000, something like that. Send it. So
And then Zach, you're coming to mods. Are you going to be able to test before mods or?
Well, if tomorrow goes good, the car should start tomorrow. And I should take it up to Birmingham. We're gonna tune it next weekend. And then that Thursday, I'm probably gonna go to the radio prep to have it steel and test it if everything goes good.
Nice.
And
You're gonna-
then I'm gonna go the next weekend to Emerald Coast probably for another radio test. So that's
you're
the
gonna have
plan.
Garrett go with you to when you dyno it. You're gonna have Garrett go with you.
Probably not. I won't be able to stay with the car. I'm probably just gonna drop it off. and
Oh,
hopefully
okay.
get it,
I was
then
hoping
meet
to see a
back up
video
that-
of it.
Yeah, then probably meet back up that next Thursday. Like I said, it's still with the car to go test it, dial it in at the track.
Gotcha.
Emerald Coast, they do a good job on radio prep.
Yeah.
Our boy Chris is down in Alabama, South Alabama down there. He goes to Emerald Coast, and some of our friends down in Florida, like Colin and Joey and those guys. they
Actually,
both run.
Steel does really good. They have the fastest radio time in the right on small tile radio right now. Like period, 8th mile. They have the fastest. They have that record right now.
Oh no shit. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Was that up? I forgot where that is. Was it off 75 there?
I like toward Gaston.
Yep. Used to live down there. I was like 15 minutes from Emerald Coast. So
Alabama International Dragway.
is Montgomery still a deal? They still race there?
Yeah, that's where I ran 949 at.
Yeah.
Going tomorrow.
Floyd's car
Yeah. It'll probably be last week. That's what.
at Montgomery.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where Floyd's car. Yeah, Baker had Floyd's car at Montgomery. Like last
Yeah.
weekend or the weekend before.
Oh, that's
Back
right.
out
Was that-
Tomorrow.
Is Baker bringing Floyd's car to mods?
I don't know. I would assume Floyd's coming.
Well, Floyd's
Hey,
gonna
what's
come
anybody know what the fastest Heath ran with that Corvette?
I think the 965 the other day at Atlanta.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I thought that was a new best for him. The 9.6,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
That
yeah.
car looks like it's gonna roll out with a little bit more work. That thing's gonna go
Yeah.
probably what 940s probably.
That's what we hope for. If it'll stay
Hopefully.
together, keep the heads down.
You should be all right.
I like that car. That car's sweet.
It is very sweet.
100,000 miles, stock Bellman LS3.
Oh shit,
Damn.
100,000, dude. That thing is blue.
All that stuff, baby.
It's the LS stuff, man. The
Yeah.
LS stuff.
Stock bottom end stuff. Yes, yes. It's not a truck motor though, Brian. You can't have that.
That's true. That's true.
You know, it don't count. All right, guys, I'm gonna let you go because it's already been almost an hour and a half. So I appreciate you sharing the knowledge. Everybody else on here, I guarantee it appreciates it because you went way beyond just basic stuff. So till next time, guys, take her easy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Likewise.
later.
Take